In 1912, the United States participated in what can only be described as one of the weirdest elections in its history. A four-way race that redefined American politics and resulted in one of the most consequential presidential victories of all time. But how did we get here? This agenda, which included tariff reduction, banking reform, and robust antitrust legislation designed to break up large monopolies and restore competition, appealed to many Americans who felt that the federal government had become too cozy with big business. Wilson's vision was one of individualism and states' rights, a rejection of the heavy-handed progressivism of his Republican opponent, the incumbent President William Howard Taft, and ran for president under the banner of the newly formed Progressive Party. In his fourth presidential bid, Debs argued that the fundamental problem was capitalism itself and that the other three candidates were merely offering different flavors of the same system. He advocated for the collective ownership of the means of production and a radical transformation of the American economic system. Famously declaring he was as fit as a bull moose, his party became colloquially known as the Bull Moose Party. Taft and Roosevelt, once close allies, traded accusations of disloyalty and betrayal. In a stunning turn of events, Roosevelt won enough electoral votes to secure a third term in the White House, while Taft was defeated in a humiliating landslide, winning only 2 states, Vermont and Utah. Eugene Debs also performed better than anyone expected. But it was Wilson who ultimately triumphed, securing the presidency with 435 electoral votes. Wilson emphasized his status as an outsider to both parties, arguing that only he could bring about real change. It marked a temporary high-water mark for progressive and socialist ideas in the United States, and it left the Republican Party in a state of turmoil that would take years to overcome. And Debs, while polling in single digits, drew attention to the shortcomings of the major parties and their inability to address the needs of working people. Roosevelt's platform, the New Nationalism, called for a strong federal government to regulate industry, protect the environment, and enact broad social reforms, including women's suffrage and an 8-hour workday. Well, it all started with Woodrow Wilson, the scholarly and progressive governor of New Jersey. Wilson ran on a platform he called the New Freedom, and his presidency had been marked by a growing rift with the progressive faction of his own party. Supporters of big business saw him as a champion after he pursued a surprisingly aggressive antitrust agenda, breaking up both Standard Oil and the Beef Trust, but this alienated him from the more radical progressives who wanted a more activist federal government. This division within his own party, coupled with a controversial decision to raise tariffs, made Taft vulnerable to a challenge from the most popular progressive in America, former President Theodore Roosevelt.